Today we're going to look at solving multi-step equations, and you'll notice they look a little bit more complex than the one-step equations that were discussed in the previous video, but we're starting the same way by asking ourselves what is happening to x. Well, notice in the first one, 2x plus 14 equals 9. What's happening to the x? It's being multiplied by 2. And then 14 is added. So there's a couple extra steps in that one. You got x is being multiplied by 2, and then 14 is added. In number 2, that one we're dealing with a little fraction. So the first thing in that one is that you subtract 7 from x. And then divide by 4. So once we identify what's happening to our variable, that's actually going to help us figure out how to get it alone. In order to solve multi-step equations, we need to go backwards through the order of operations. So, and remember this key thing, whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So let's now solve the two equations that we figured out in the first example. So we got 2x plus 14 equals 9. Well, the first thing I need to do whenever I solve these equations, I want to get everything involving the x by itself. So the first thing I have to do is get to 2x by itself. In order to do that, I have to subtract 14 from both sides. So I get 2x equals negative 5. And then, now it's just a one-step equation. All I have to do is divide both sides by 2, and x equals negative 5 halves. You are working out in. So notice how I took care of the outermost thing first, and then got into a one-step equation. So let's look at the next one. We've got x minus 7 on top, all divided by 4 equals 10. Well, I want to get x minus 7 by itself. In order to do that, I have to get rid of that divided by 4. So I need to multiply both sides by 4. You'll notice what happens when I do that is that the 4 on top and the 4 on the bottom cancel out, leaving you just with x minus 7. And on the right-hand side, 10 times 4 is equal to 40. Now, all I have to do, it's a one-step equation, add 7 to both sides to get the x totally by itself. So x equals 47. All right, there's 2 worked out examples for you. I have 4 for you to try right now. After watching that video, use that as a reference. Pause the video right now, try it out, and then the work will be there for you to check. There you go. As promised, there's the worked out examples for your 4 practice problems. A couple things to notice. You'll see like in number 2 at this step right here, when I divide both sides by negative 11, the x stays put. So make sure you're being very careful that your work looks exactly like this. You never divide by your variable to move it to the other side. All right, at least not with what we're doing right now. So make sure if you're solving for x or your variable, whatever you're solving for, that stays put and you want to get it totally alone. So make sure your work looks like this 100%. Double check your answers. As always, please write down any questions. Be safe, be good, and I'll see you soon.